In a world where filters and facades are more common than ever, there's a quiet, almost forgotten truth that can set you apart. The key to becoming unforgettable is not perfection, but the courage to be unapologetically real. Think about it. When was the last time you met someone who made you feel something authentic, raw, and unfiltered? Chances are, it wasn't the person with the perfect Instagram feed or the smoothest speech. It was the one who wasn't afraid to show their true self. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, understood something crucial about the human experience. We don't desire what appears flawless, we are drawn to what feels authentic. The real power doesn't come from being perfect, it comes from being unafraid to be real, flaws and all. But here's the paradox. In a world obsessed with polished images, showing the world your true, unvarnished self might be the most powerful thing you can do. It's the courage to stop performing for others, to stop pretending, and to simply be. That's when people start to take notice. Not because you're trying so hard to impress, but because you're offering them something much rarer, your genuine self. The problem with perfection. We spend so much of our lives curating our image. Think about social media, the smiles we post, the statuses we update, the photos we share. We edit our lives the way we edit our pictures, smoothing out the wrinkles, hiding the cracks. But in that process, we often forget who we are beneath the surface. How many times have you held back your true emotions, your real thoughts, just to fit into what society expects? How many times have you watered down your excitement because you didn't want to come off as too much? Society teaches us to fit in, to mold ourselves into a version that's easy to digest, easy to accept. But the truth is, that's the exact opposite of what makes someone unforgettable. In reality, the people who leave the deepest impact are rarely the ones who have it all together. Instead, they are the ones who show up, flaws and all, without apology. The ones who aren't afraid to be messy. They show us that being human, fully and unapologetically human, is more powerful than trying to live up to some ideal of perfection. The Stoic way, inner strength over external validation. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, knew this all too well. They didn't chase popularity or external validation. They weren't interested in impressing others with polished images. Instead, they focused on mastering their inner worlds. They understood that true strength comes from within, and that self-awareness and inner peace are far more valuable than the fleeting approval of others. Let's take Marcus Aurelius as an example. As one of the most powerful men in the Roman Empire, he could have easily spent his days surrounded by yes-men, seeking praise and approval. But instead, he spent his time reflecting, writing, and meditating on the nature of the self. His meditations weren't about impressing anyone, they were about understanding himself, about living a life rooted in authenticity. Epictetus, too, lived by this principle. He didn't chase attention or admiration, he worked on mastering his emotions, his reactions, and his thoughts. He knew that the real power comes not from what's happening on the outside, but from what's happening on the inside. That's where true freedom lies, in the ability to control your inner world, no matter what's going on in the world around you. Breaking free from the need for approval. We all know the feeling, that nagging desire to be liked, to be accepted, to be approved of. But here's the twist, the more we chase after approval, the further we drift from our true selves. When we prioritize the opinions of others over our own, we lose our sense of self. We start to perform instead of live. We trade authenticity for validation. What if we stopped seeking permission to be powerful? What if we embraced the idea that we are already enough, just as we are? That's the essence of true confidence, knowing that you don't need anyone's approval to stand tall, to speak your truth, and to show up as yourself. The people who leave a lasting impact on us are the ones who have learned to stop performing, who have embraced their true selves. It's not about being the loudest or the most outgoing. It's about being so deeply rooted in your own truth that others can't help but feel your presence. The courage to show up. This is where the real power lies, in showing up as you are, without fear or hesitation. It's about stepping into the room without the armor of perfection, without trying to be something you're not. It's about showing the world that you're not afraid to be vulnerable, to be human. That's when people start to see you, not just the version of you that you think they want to see. And that's when you become unforgettable. Because in a world that's full of filters and facades, authenticity is rare. People will remember you, not because you were perfect, but because you were real. In a world where perfection is constantly marketed as the ideal, embracing your vulnerability can be a powerful tool. It's easy to think that being vulnerable makes us weak, that showing our struggles, our fears, or our emotions is a sign of being broken. But here's the truth: vulnerability is not a flaw, it's a strength. In fact, it's one of the most powerful things you can embrace on your journey to becoming unforgettable. Think about the people who have left a lasting impression on you. Were they the ones who never showed any weakness, who always had it together, or were they the ones who, in their moments of difficulty, chose to stand tall, raw, and real? Vulnerability doesn't make you weak, it shows the world your humanity. It shows them that you're not afraid to feel, to hurt, and to rise from it. When you embrace vulnerability, something amazing happens. You start to connect with others on a much deeper level. People aren't looking for perfect images or flawless performances. They're looking for proof that it's okay to be human, that it's okay to fall and get back up again. This is what creates real connections, the kind that aren't based on how polished you look but on how authentic and real you are. The fear of being seen. But embracing vulnerability isn't easy. It requires a deep level of self-acceptance and a willingness to face the things that we've hidden from the world, often for years. It means allowing ourselves to be seen, not just for our strengths but also for our flaws and struggles. Why is this so difficult? Part of it is because we fear rejection. We fear that if we show our true selves, the world will look at us differently, judge us, or even walk away. But here's something to consider: the people who walk away were never meant for you in the first place. True connections aren't about fitting into a mold, they're about being seen for who you really are. Vulnerability doesn't mean giving everyone access to your inner world. It means letting the right people in, the ones who are capable of understanding, supporting, and accepting you. The ones who see your flaws as part of your strength, not as weaknesses. When you open up in this way, you invite those who resonate with your authenticity to come closer, and you push away the ones who would only love you conditionally. The courage to be imperfect. Let's be honest, most of us are terrified of imperfection. We've been conditioned to believe that perfection is the key to acceptance, success, and love. But perfection is a lie. It's a mask that hides the real you, the messy, beautiful, authentic you. The more we chase after an ideal of perfection, the further we get from who we truly are. Take a moment and think about the last time you admired someone deeply. Did they impress you with their flawless life, or was it their courage to face their struggles that drew you in? The people who make the most impact are often the ones who are willing to show their scars, the ones who admit they're not perfect and that it's okay to be in progress. When you stop striving for perfection and allow yourself to be imperfect, you give others permission to do the same. It's like you're opening the door to a new kind of freedom, the freedom to be real. And in this space, something beautiful happens. People feel your presence, they feel your authenticity, and they feel seen. The Stoic wisdom on imperfection. The Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, all understood that imperfection is not something to be ashamed of but something to embrace. They didn't waste their time trying to create flawless images or perform for the approval of others. Instead, they focused on the internal work, the cultivation of inner peace, wisdom, and strength. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflected on the idea that our imperfections are part of the human experience. He knew that our flaws, our struggles, and our imperfections are what make us human. It is through embracing these imperfections that we learn, grow, and become stronger. Epictetus, too, taught that true freedom comes from accepting ourselves fully, flaws and all. He believed that it is not the circumstances of life that determine our happiness, but our response to them. When we stop resisting the parts of ourselves that we don't like, when we stop pretending to be perfect, we free ourselves to become who we truly are. Shifting the narrative on perfection. The story we've been told is that perfection equals success. That to be loved, to be accepted, to be respected, we must have it all together. But this is a dangerous lie. The truth is that the most powerful and magnetic people are the ones who can be honest about their imperfections. This is where true growth lies, not in pretending to be something we're not, but in learning to embrace and love who we are, imperfections and all. When you stop hiding behind the mask of perfection, you start to embrace the journey of becoming. You realize that it's not about being perfect, it's about being real. So, if you're still holding on to the belief that you need to be perfect in order to be loved or respected, it's time to let go. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real people. It needs more people who are willing to show up as they are, not because they're flawless, but because they're willing to grow, evolve, and embrace the messy beauty of their own journey. In the pursuit of being unforgettable, one of the most transformative qualities you can develop is self-respect. But here's the catch: self-respect is not something that you demand from others. It's something you build from within. It's a quiet, internal power that radiates outward, not based on others' approval, but rooted in your own sense of worth. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you adjusted who you are or compromised your values just to make others like you? Whether it's in relationships, work, or social situations, many of us find ourselves shrinking, dimming our light, or betraying our true selves in the name of fitting in. But here's the truth: when you start respecting yourself, you stop seeking validation from the outside world. You realize that your worth isn't determined by how many people approve of you, but by how you show up for yourself every single day. Self-respect is the foundation of everything. Without it, we end up looking for validation in all the wrong places. We rely on the opinions of others, the approval of our peers, or the need to meet external expectations. This constant seeking leaves us feeling empty, unfulfilled, and exhausted. But when we start respecting ourselves, we no longer need to perform. We no longer need to shrink or mold ourselves into someone else's idea of who we should be. We simply become who we are, unapologetically and authentically. The power of boundaries. A key component of self-respect is the ability to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that keep others out. They are the guidelines that protect your energy and define how you will allow others to treat you. Without boundaries, we risk giving away pieces of ourselves, losing our sense of identity, and being constantly drained by others' demands. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love. It's about knowing what you need to protect your peace, your time, and your energy. It's about saying no when necessary, without guilt, and without fear of rejection. In fact, the more you practice setting boundaries, the more you will attract the people who genuinely respect you, because they will see your value in the way you value yourself. Boundaries allow you to show up fully, without fear of losing yourself. They are the lines you draw that help you maintain your sense of self, even in the face of pressure or external expectations. The Stoics understood the importance of setting boundaries to preserve inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on how we must guard our own minds and maintain control over our reactions to the world around us. When you respect yourself enough to set boundaries, you become impervious to the external noise, and your presence becomes one that people can't help but feel. The courage to stand alone. Self-respect often requires standing alone. It means being willing to walk your path, even if it means others might not understand or approve of your decisions. This is one of the hardest challenges we face: the fear of standing out, the fear of being judged, or the fear of being alone. But here's the thing: standing alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means that you are confident enough in who you are to follow your own path, regardless of whether others are on it with you. It means knowing that the right people will find you, not because you're performing or trying to impress, but because you are fully yourself. This kind of courage isn't about being reckless or intentionally isolating yourself. It's about having the inner strength to make choices that align with your values, even if those choices don't align with the expectations of the crowd. It's about trusting yourself enough to take risks and to step into the unknown, without needing the reassurance of others. The Stoics taught us that we cannot control the opinions or actions of others, but we can control how we respond. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, emphasized that true freedom comes when we stop allowing external circumstances to dictate our emotional state. When we stand alone, we reclaim our power. We stop seeking approval, and we start living for ourselves, with integrity and authenticity. The freedom of authenticity. Living authentically is the ultimate act of self-respect. When you choose to live authentically, you're no longer bound by the need to conform, fit in, or meet the expectations of others. You realize that your worth is inherent, not dependent on external factors like appearance, success, or social status. Authenticity means showing up in the world just as you are. It means expressing your thoughts, feelings, and desires honestly and openly, without fear of judgment or rejection. It's about releasing the need to perform, and instead, embracing the quiet strength of simply being yourself. In the process of embracing authenticity, you'll notice something incredible: the people who are meant for you will find you. These are the people who appreciate you not because you fit into a certain mold, but because they see the real you, the full you. The ones who are able to love you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. Self-respect as a magnet. Self-respect is magnetic. When you respect yourself, others will too. When you refuse to settle for less than you deserve, you'll start to attract the right relationships, the right opportunities, and the right people. But this magnetism doesn't come from arrogance or pride. It comes from a deep, grounded sense of self-worth. It comes from the understanding that you are enough, just as you are, and that you don't need anyone's validation to feel complete. This type of magnetism doesn't require performance or effort. It's simply the natural result of being aligned with your true self. When you respect yourself, you stop chasing people, you stop seeking approval, and you stop measuring your worth by external standards. Instead, you become a beacon of authenticity and self-assurance, and the right people will be drawn to that energy. To truly become unforgettable, there's one crucial thing you must do: let go. Let go of past versions of yourself, let go of the expectations that weigh you down, and let go of the need to be everything to everyone. The process of letting go isn't about losing something, it's about freeing yourself to become who you're meant to be. It's about releasing the ties that keep you anchored to an old version of yourself that no longer serves you. We often hold on to old habits, relationships, or even beliefs because they're comfortable, because they're familiar. But here's the truth: staying attached to these things can limit your growth. It's like trying to move forward while holding on to the past. Every time you look back, you're stuck in the past, unable to fully embrace the future. And that's where the real struggle begins. Letting go isn't about forgetting or abandoning who you were. It's about accepting that the person you were then helped shape who you are now, but it doesn't define you. You are constantly evolving, and to step into the most authentic version of yourself, you have to make space for that evolution. Holding on to the past only serves to keep you stagnant. It traps you in old patterns and prevents you from fully embracing the future that's waiting for you. The fear of letting go. We all fear letting go at some point. The fear of the unknown, the fear of losing something that feels familiar, or the fear of stepping out of our comfort zone can be overwhelming. But let's take a closer look at this fear. The fear of letting go is often rooted in the belief that we are defined by our past. We think that if we release the things we've clung to for so long, be it a job, a relationship, or an old belief, we'll lose a part of ourselves. But in reality, the opposite is true. The more you let go, the more you make space for new opportunities, new relationships, and new experiences that are more aligned with who you're becoming. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, often reminded himself in his meditations that nothing in life is permanent, and the sooner we accept this fact, the sooner we can free ourselves from unnecessary attachment. Holding on to things that no longer serve us only keeps us chained to the past. The Stoics believed in practicing detachment, not in the sense of abandoning what we love, but in recognizing that nothing outside of ourselves can provide lasting fulfillment. Releasing fear and embracing growth. Letting go is a crucial step in personal growth. It's about releasing the fear of what might happen if you let go and embracing the freedom that comes with it. When you let go of fear, you make room for new growth. When you let go of perfection, you make room for authenticity. And when you let go of the need to control everything, you allow life to unfold in ways you couldn't have predicted. Think about it. How many times have you held on to something, fearing that if you let go, you'd lose everything? Whether it was a dream that no longer served you, a relationship that had run its course, or a belief that limited your growth, how many times did you hold on for dear life, only to realize later that letting go was the key to your transformation? The moment you release what no longer serves you is the moment you give yourself the gift of freedom. You allow yourself to step into the next chapter of your life with confidence, without the baggage of the past weighing you down. And that is where true growth begins. The beauty of detachment. Detachment is not about disengaging from life. It's about learning to engage with life in a way that doesn't attach your sense of self-worth to external factors. It's about recognizing that you are not your job, your relationships, or your possessions. You are not defined by what you have or don't have, you are defined by the values you live by and the person you choose to be. In the Stoic tradition, detachment is considered one of the most powerful tools for inner peace and clarity. By detaching from the need for external validation, we can achieve a state of peace that is unshakable. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent to the world around you, but it does mean developing the strength to let go of anything that takes away from your peace of mind. When you detach from the need to control your environment and the opinions of others, you become free to be your authentic self. You stop performing for others and start living for yourself. You stop seeking approval and start living in alignment with your values. That's when your presence becomes truly magnetic. The role of acceptance. In order to let go, you must first learn to accept what is. Acceptance isn't about giving up or resigning yourself to your circumstances. It's about acknowledging what's happening right now and choosing to move forward, regardless of how things look. When you accept your current situation, your past mistakes, and your imperfections, you stop fighting against life. You stop resisting what is and start embracing what could be. Acceptance is the foundation of peace because it allows you to stop dwelling on what you can't change and focus on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and reactions. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity or complacency. It means you accept where you are so that you can make the conscious decision to grow from there. It's about being real with yourself and letting go of the need to force things into a mold. When you accept your imperfections, you free yourself from the weight of unrealistic expectations, and in that freedom, your true power emerges. We've all been conditioned to present a version of ourselves that fits within society's narrow standards. We've been told what to wear, what to say, and how to behave to be accepted, to be liked, and to be respected. But here's the hard truth: the more we try to fit into these molds, the further we drift from our true selves. The very things that make us unique, our quirks, our flaws, our authentic personalities, are often the things we hide the most. Authenticity is a powerful force, but it requires courage. It takes bravery to show up in the world as your true self, without pretending to be someone you're not. When you begin to embrace your authenticity, you'll discover a strength within yourself that you didn't even know was there. It's not the strength of performance or appearance, but the strength of self-acceptance and inner peace. True strength isn't about having the loudest voice or being the most popular person in the room. It's about standing firm in your beliefs, your values, and your identity, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. It's about showing up in the world unapologetically, allowing others to see you for who you truly are. This is where real magnetism lies, not in pretending to be something you're not, but in fully embracing who you already are. The Stoic path to authenticity. The Stoics understood that authenticity comes from within. They didn't seek validation from external sources, nor did they base their worth on how others saw them. Instead, they focused on cultivating inner strength, wisdom, and virtue, knowing that these were the qualities that truly defined a person's character. They practiced what's known as individuation, a term coined by Carl Jung, which refers to the process of becoming whole by integrating all parts of yourself, including the messy, imperfect parts. In Stoic philosophy, authenticity is about aligning your inner world with your outer actions. It's about living in accordance with your values, no matter how difficult it may be. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one." The key to authenticity is not debating who you should be but simply embodying it. Your actions, your words, and your choices should reflect the person you are inside, without pretenses or performance. Releasing the fear of rejection. One of the biggest obstacles to authenticity is the fear of rejection. We fear that if we show our true selves, we will be rejected by others. But in reality, rejection doesn't always mean failure. Sometimes, rejection is simply a sign that you're being true to yourself and your values. It's a reminder that you are not meant to fit into every mold or gain the approval of everyone around you. The fear of rejection is a product of external validation. We've been taught to seek approval from others, to make decisions based on what others think of us. But when we live from this place, we sacrifice our authenticity. Rejection, while uncomfortable, can actually be a blessing in disguise. It frees you from the burden of trying to please everyone and allows you to make space for the people who truly align with who you are. In the Stoic tradition, rejection is seen as a natural part of life. Epictetus taught that we should not be attached to the opinions of others because they are beyond our control. The only thing we can control is our response to rejection. Instead of letting it crush us, we can use it as an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to authenticity and inner peace. The power of embracing your true self. When you fully embrace who you are, flaws and all, you begin to notice a shift in how others respond to you. People are drawn to authenticity because it's rare. In a world full of facades and filters, The person who shows up unapologetically as themselves is a breath of fresh air. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges, but it does mean that the challenges you face will be ones that are aligned with your true self, not a version of you that you've created for the sake of others. The journey to authenticity requires letting go of the need for external approval and validation. It means accepting yourself, all of yourself. It means embracing your imperfections and seeing them as what makes you unique. There is no need to hide behind masks or play a role in someone else's story. When you stop trying to please others, you create the space for your own truth to emerge. A life of peace and fulfillment. When you stop performing and start being yourself, you experience a deeper sense of peace. This peace doesn't come from having everything under control or being perfect, it comes from accepting that life is imperfect, and so are you. The more you embrace your authentic self, the more you begin to live in alignment with your true desires and values. And that alignment leads to fulfillment. Socrates famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." When you examine your life and strip away the layers of external expectations, you start to see yourself for who you really are. You stop living for others and start living for yourself. And in that shift, you unlock a profound sense of freedom, the freedom to be exactly who you are, without fear, shame, or doubt. This freedom is what makes you unforgettable. It's not the perfection you've been taught to chase but the real, raw, unpolished version of yourself. When you live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. You give them permission to stop performing and start being real. And that is what leaves a lasting impact. As we conclude this journey of self-discovery and authenticity, we must address one of the most transformative aspects of embracing your true self, the way you interact with the world around you. The Stoics believed in the importance of understanding our role in the larger community and living in harmony with others. However, they also knew that we can't expect to be understood or accepted by everyone. And that's okay. When you choose to live unapologetically, you may face some resistance. People who were once comfortable with the version of you that conformed to their expectations might push back. They may even try to convince you to return to your old ways, to fit back into the mold they're familiar with. But the beauty of this transformation is that it allows you to build a life based on your own standards, not someone else's approval. Creating boundaries and protecting your peace. One of the hardest lessons in living authentically is learning to say no. Saying no is not a rejection of others, but rather an affirmation of your own values and priorities. It's about setting boundaries that protect your peace and preserve your energy. Many people struggle with this, especially if they've spent their lives trying to please everyone. But when you start to value yourself enough to set boundaries, you free yourself from the need for external validation and approval. Setting boundaries is not about being rude or selfish. It's about self-respect and recognizing that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable. You are allowed to say no to things that don't align with your values or bring you peace. And in doing so, you create space for the things that truly matter to you, the things that allow you to grow and evolve into the person you're meant to be. The Stoics believed that our peace of mind is one of the most valuable things we can possess. They understood that peace isn't something that comes from external circumstances, it's something that comes from within. By setting boundaries, you protect that peace. You stop letting other people's drama, expectations, and opinions dictate how you feel about yourself. You start to live from a place of self-respect, and that changes everything. Finding your tribe, the power of like-minded souls. When you live authentically, you attract the people who are meant for you, your true tribe. These are the people who see you for who you really are, who appreciate you not in spite of your flaws but because of them. They are the ones who resonate with your energy, who feel inspired by your authenticity, and who are on the same journey of self-discovery and growth. It's easy to feel isolated when you're not conforming to societal expectations. But the truth is, the more authentic you are, the more you will find others who are on the same path. These people will become your support system, your sounding board, your friends, and your allies. They will encourage you to keep growing and evolving, just as you will do for them. This is what makes living unapologetically so powerful. You stop wasting energy trying to fit in, and instead, you find the people who genuinely align with your values and vision for life. The Stoics believed in the importance of community, but they also understood that true connection comes when we are fully ourselves. When you stop hiding and start showing up as the person you were meant to be, you will attract those who truly resonate with you. The freedom of non-attachment. One of the greatest freedoms you can experience in life is the freedom of non-attachment. This doesn't mean that you stop caring about the people or things that matter to you. It means that you stop relying on them for your sense of worth. You stop attaching your happiness to external outcomes or other people's opinions. Instead, you cultivate a sense of internal peace that is not swayed by the ups and downs of life. This freedom is liberating. It allows you to live fully in the present, without the weight of past regrets or future anxieties. It gives you the space to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your peace, and your authenticity. It means that you are no longer dependent on validation from others, because your sense of worth is rooted in who you are, not in how others perceive you. The Stoics practiced non-attachment in their daily lives. They understood that the only things we can control are our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. Everything else, other people's opinions, the events that happen in the world, is beyond our control. By practicing non-attachment, you free yourself from the need to control everything, and in doing so, you gain the freedom to live fully and authentically, letting go of perfection and embracing imperfection. As you continue on this path of authenticity, it's important to remember that perfection is not the goal. The journey isn't about becoming flawless or having everything figured out. It's about embracing your imperfections and learning to love them. Perfection is a societal construct, something that's often used to sell products, ideas, and lifestyles. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion. It's the imperfections in life that make us human, that make us real, and that make us memorable. Embrace your flaws. Own your mistakes. Learn from your failures. They are all part of the story that makes you who you are. The more you embrace your imperfections, the more you'll realize that they are the very things that connect you to others. People are not drawn to perfection, they are drawn to realness, to vulnerability, and to authenticity. Living unapologetically means accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. It means stepping into your power and owning every part of your story. And when you do this, you not only become unforgettable, you become the person you were always meant to be. Conclusion: keep evolving and keep growing. The journey of authenticity is not a one-time event, it's a lifelong process. It's about continuously shedding the layers of societal expectations, fears, and insecurities, and stepping into the fullest version of yourself. It's about growing, evolving, and changing in ways that are true to who you are, not who others want you to be. As you continue this journey, remember, you are enough. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to be perfect. All you need to do is be real. And in doing so, you will find peace, fulfillment, and the strength to live unapologetically. So, take the next step. Embrace your authenticity. Let go of the masks. Set your boundaries. Find your tribe. And keep evolving. Because in the end, it's not about being liked by everyone, it's about being true to yourself and finding the people who see you for exactly who you are.